Natalie Brooks had never felt more out of place. The crystal chandeliers above the Metropolitan Gallery cast dancing shadows across marble floors. And everywhere she looked, people wore diamonds that probably cost more than her entire year's rent. She tugged at the hem of her borrowed black dress, the one her roommate had insisted she wear to this charity gala.
Ow.
You need to network, her friend had said. Art curators don't just appear out of thin air. But networking meant talking to people. And Natalie had spent the last 20 minutes hiding behind a sculpture of a bronze horse. Nursing a glass of champagne, she was too nervous to drink. She checked her phone. 9:30. She could leave in an hour without seeming rude. That's when it happened. She stepped backward, trying to get a better view of a painting across the room, and collided with something solid. The champagne glass flew from her hand and she stumbled. Waiting for the inevitable crash against the floor? It never came. Strong hands caught her waist, steadying her with surprising gentleness. Careful, a deep voice said, close to her ear. Natalie spun around, apologies already tumbling from her lips. I'm so sorry. I wasn't looking where I was. The words died in her throat. The man holding her was devastating. Dark hair swept back from a face that could have been carved by the same artist who created the sculptures around them. But it was his eyes that stopped her cold. A deep amber that seemed to see right through her nervous exterior. No harm done, he said, releasing her slowly, as if making sure she wouldn't fall again. His suit probably cost more than her car. Everything about him screamed wealth and power. Your champagne, though. He gestured to the golden puddles spreading across the pristine floor. Already, a server was hurrying over with a towel. God, I'm such a disaster, Natalie muttered, her cheeks burning. I should probably just leave. Why would you do that? The corner of his mouth lifted slightly. The night's just started. Stranger, she looked up at him, surprised. Most people at these events looked through her, not at her. I'm not really. I don't belong here. Neither do I, he said quietly, and something in his voice made her believe him. I'm Dominic. Natalie. She shook his extended hand, trying to ignore the warmth of his palm against hers. So, Natalie. He picked up 2 fresh glasses of champagne from a passing tray, offering her one. What brings someone who doesn't belong here to a place like this? She hesitated. Something about him made her want to be honest. I'm trying to save my gallery, or what's left of it. My boss thinks if we can attract some wealthy patrons... She trailed off, shrugging. It's a long shot. Dominic studied her with those unsettling amber eyes. You're an art curator? Trying to be. Mostly I'm broke and desperate. The champagne was making her too honest. Sorry, I don't usually tell strangers my life story. I like it, he said simply. Most people here only tell me what they think I want to hear. Before she could ask what he meant, a sharp voice cut through the ambient conversation. Mr. Sterling? There you are. A woman in a severe gray suit appeared at Dominic's elbow, her expression tight with barely concealed anxiety. You're needed upstairs. Security matter. Something shifted in Dominic's face, a hardness replacing the warmth from moments before. I'll be right there, he turned back to Natalie, and that warmth returned, but she could see the tension in his shoulders now. Will you wait here? Just 5 minutes. I don't, please. His hand brushed her arm, the touch gentle but urgent. I'd like to finish our conversation, she nodded, confused by the intensity in his request. He disappeared into the crowd, the gray-suited woman following like a shadow. The revelation Natalie wandered over to the painting she'd been trying to see earlier. A haunting piece depicting a storm at sea. She was studying the brushstrokes when a conversation drifted from behind a nearby pillar. Did you see Sterling's here? Bold move after last month. A man has nerves of steel. 3 board members trying to oust him, and he shows up to a gala like nothing's wrong. I heard the FBI's investigating the cyber attack on his company. They think it was an inside job. Natalie's stomach dropped. Sterling. Dominic Sterling. She pulled out her phone, her hand shaking slightly as she searched the name. The screen filled with results. Tech billionaire. CEO of Sterling Industries, one of the largest cybersecurity firms in the world. And everywhere headlines about corporate espionage, threats, investigations. Find out anything interesting? She jumped. Dominic stood behind her, his expression unreadable as he looked at her phone screen. "I didn't mean to eavesdrop," she started, but he held up a hand. "Everyone here knows who I am. I should have introduced myself properly." Paused, watching her carefully. "Are you going to run away now?" Natalie looked at him. Really looked at him. Beneath the expensive suit and commanding presence, she saw something else, a weariness that matched her own. "Should I?" "Probably," he said, but his lips curved into a sad smile. "I'm not exactly a safe person to know right now." She should have walked away. Everything logical in her brain screamed at her to make an excuse and leave. Instead, she heard herself say, "Tell me about it." The offer they ended up on a balcony overlooking the city, away from the crowd. Dominic leaned against the railing, the lights of the skyline reflecting in his eyes as he spoke. "Someone's trying to destroy my company," he said quietly. "Stealing data, framing me for corporate crimes I didn't commit. I've spent the last 6 months fighting fires I didn't start." Natalie asked, "Why would someone do that?" "Because I wouldn't sell." Sterling Industries developed encryption software that keeps people safe, keeps their information private. Someone wants that technology, and they don't care who they hurt to get it. The weight in his voice made her chest ache. "I'm sorry," he looked at her then, and she saw surprise in his expression. "That's not what most people say. What do they say? They ask if I did it. If the allegations are true," he turned back to the skyline, "or they see an opportunity. Everyone wants something from me, Natalie. Money, connections, a chance to get close to the scandal. That sounds lonely." Dominic laughed, but there was no humor in it. "It is." They stood in silence for a moment, the city humming below them. Finally, Natalie spoke. "My gallery. We're going under. We've got maybe 6 weeks before we have to close the doors permanently. Why are you telling me this?" "Because you just told me your truth. Seems only fair." "I don't want anything from you, Dominic. I just wanted you to know that sometimes life is hard for everyone, even billionaires." He stared at her, something shifting in his expression. When he spoke, his voice was rough. "How would you like a job?" "What?" "Sterling Industries needs an art consultant. We're renovating our headquarters, and I want someone who actually cares about art, not just price tags." He pulled out a card, pressing it into her hand. "The pay would be enough to keep your gallery afloat. More than enough." Natalie looked down at the embossed card, her heart racing. "Why me?" "Because in the last 30 minutes you're the only person who's talked to me like I'm human." He paused, his amber eyes intense. "And because I have a feeling you're exactly what I need." The warning she should have said no. Every instinct told her this was too much, too fast, too dangerous. But as she looked at the card in her hand, she thought about her gallery, about the artists she represented who depended on her, about her own dreams slipping away. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll do it." Something flickered across Dominic's face, relief mixed with something darker. "There's one thing you should know." "What?" "People close to me have a habit of getting hurt." His voice was low, urgent. "If you do this, if you take this job, your life will change. And not all of it will be good." Natalie should have been afraid. Instead, she felt a strange sense of certainty. "When do I start?" Dominic smiled, a real smile this time, and it transformed his face. "Monday, 9 a.m. My assistant will send you the details." As they walked back inside, Natalie caught sight of them reflected in the gallery windows. A broke art curator and a billionaire with enemies. She had no idea she'd just stepped into a world where every decision could be her last, where the man beside her would become both her greatest danger and her only protection. The card felt heavy in her clutch as they parted ways. She didn't see the figure watching from the shadows, didn't notice the camera flash that captured them together on the balcony, but Dominic did. And as he watched Natalie disappear into the crowd, he made a silent promise. Whatever came next, whatever threats emerged from the darkness surrounding him, he would keep her safe, even if it cost him everything. Sterling Industries occupied 47 floors of gleaming glass and steel in downtown Manhattan. Natalie stood on the sidewalk Monday morning, staring up at the building with her portfolio clutched against her chest. The security guard at the entrance checked her name against a list before directing her to the private elevator. 45th floor, he said. Mr. Sterling's assistant will meet you there. The elevator moved so smoothly she barely felt it, but her stomach dropped anyway. What had she gotten herself into? The doors opened to reveal a space that took her breath away. Floor 2 ceiling windows overlooked the city, and the reception area alone was larger than her entire apartment. Everything was sharp angles and modern elegance, intimidating in its perfection. Miss Brooks. A woman approached, early 50s with silver streaking through her dark hair. Unlike the nervous assistant from the gala, this woman radiated calm competence. I'm Patricia Reeves, Mr. Sterling's executive assistant. Welcome to Sterling Industries. She shook Natalie's hand firmly. Mr. Sterling is in a meeting, but he wanted me to show you your office and go over your contract. My office? Natalie followed Patricia down a corridor lined with abstract art. Of course. You're a senior consultant now. Patricia opened a door to reveal a bright space with windows, a sleek desk, and walls waiting to be filled. This is yours. Natalie set down her portfolio with shaking hands. A week ago, she'd been sharing a desk with 3 other people in a cramped gallery. Now she had an office with a view of Central Park. The strange files, the contract was generous. Almost too generous. Natalie signed it in a daze, trying not to think about the salary number that would solve all her problems and create entirely new ones. Mr. Sterling wants you to start by reviewing the current collection, Patricia explained, handing her a tablet. These are the pieces we're considering for the headquarters renovation. He'd like your assessment by end of week. The rest of the morning passed in a blur. Natalie immersed herself in the work, cataloging paintings and sculptures, making notes about placement and lighting. It was exactly what she'd trained for, except with a budget that made her dizzy. She was so focused that she didn't notice the time until her stomach growled loudly. 2 p.m. she'd worked through lunch. Natalie ventured out of her office, looking for the break room Patricia had mentioned. She got turned around twice before finding herself in an unfamiliar corridor. Everything looked the same, glass and steel and expensive silence. That's when she heard voices. He's getting too close. The Brooks girl could be a problem. Natalie froze. The voice came from a partially open conference room door ahead. Sterling's paranoid enough already. Adding her to the equation was stupid. She's nobody. A distraction. He'll get bored. You better hope so. Because if she starts asking questions... Natalie's heart hammered. She should leave. Walk away now. Instead, she found herself inching closer, straining to hear more. The data transfer is scheduled for Thursday. By the time Sterling figures out what happened, it'll be too late. The encryption codes will be gone, and he'll have no way to prove a hand closed around her wrist. The confrontation, Natalie gasped, spinning around to find Dominic standing behind her, his expression dark. He pressed a finger to his lips, then pulled her away from the conference room door, moving so quickly and quietly that she stumbled trying to keep up. He didn't speak until they were in his office. The door closed and locked behind them. What were you doing? His voice was low, controlled, but she could hear the anger beneath it. It got lost. I was looking for the break room. The words tumbled out. Dominic, those men, they were talking about you, about stealing something on Thursday? I know. He ran a hand through his hair, the first time she'd seen him anything less than perfectly composed. Damn it, Natalie. You shouldn't have heard that. Who were they? Board members. 2 of the 3, trying to force me out. He walked to the windows, his shoulders tense. They think I don't know about their plan. So why not stop them? Dominic turned to face her, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. It wasn't anger anymore. It was fear. Because I need proof. Real proof that will stand up in court and destroy their credibility completely. If I move too soon, they'll scatter, cover their tracks. The real people behind this, the ones pulling the strings, they'll disappear. And if you move too late, then I lose everything. He walked toward her slowly, which is why I need you to stay away from them. Pretend you didn't hear anything. Natalie thought about the voices in the conference room, the casual cruelty in their words. They mentioned me, said I could be a problem. Something flickered across Dominic's face, something dangerous. They won't touch you. How can you be sure? Because I'll make sure. He was close now. Close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his amber eyes. Natalie, I meant what I said at the gala. People close to me get hurt. I should never have brought you here, but you did. She didn't step back. And I'm not leaving. The attraction for a moment, neither of them moved. The air between them felt electric, charged with everything unspoken. You should be afraid of me, Dominic said quietly. I am. She was surprised by her own honesty. But not the way you think. His hand came up, fingers brushing a strand of hair from her face. The touch was gentle, reverent, completely at odds with the danger surrounding them. This is a mistake, he murmured. But he didn't pull away, I know. Natalie wasn't sure who moved first. One moment they were standing apart, the next his lips were on hers. And the world narrowed to the heat of his mouth, the solid strength of his body as he pulled her close. She'd never been kissed like this. Like she was the only thing that mattered. Like the world could be ending outside, and he wouldn't care as long as he could hold her. Her hands fisted in his shirt, feeling his heart race beneath her palms. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dominic rested his forehead against hers. I can't keep you safe if you distract me like this, he said. Voice rough. Then maybe I don't want to be kept safe. He pulled back to look at her, searching her face. You don't know what you're saying, don't I? Natalie's voice was steadier than she felt. You're not the only one with something to lose, Dominic. I came here because I was drowning, and you threw me a lifeline. But this, she gestured between them, this isn't about the job anymore. The threat before Dominic could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and went completely still. What is it? Natalie asked, fear creeping up her spine at his expression. Without a word, he turned the phone to show her. It was a photograph, grainy but clear enough. Her and Dominic on the gallery balcony, his hand on her arm, their faces close together in conversation. The caption below made her blood run cold. She's pretty. Be a shame if something happened to her. Natalie's hands started shaking. Who sent this? Blocked number. Dominic's voice was ice. But I know who it is. He made 3 calls in rapid succession, his tone clipped and commanding. Within minutes, 2 security guards appeared at the office door. Miss Brooks needs protection, Dominic told them. 24/7 coverage, starting now. She doesn't go anywhere without one of you, Dominic. Wait, Natalie started, but he cut her off. This isn't negotiable. He turned to her, and the raw emotion in his eyes silenced her protests. They've made you a target. Because of me. Because I was selfish enough to bring you into this. I chose to come, and I'm choosing to keep you alive. His jaw was tight. Please, Natalie. Let me do this. Let me protect you, she wanted to argue, to insist she could take care of herself. But the photo on his phone kept flashing through her mind, the casual threat in those words. "'Kay," she whispered. "Okay." The promise that night, Dominic insisted on driving her home himself, one of the security guards following in a separate car. The streets blurred past the windows of his Tesla, and neither of them spoke until he pulled up outside her building. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "For all of this, stop apologizing." Natalie turned to face him. "You warned me. I knew there was danger. I just didn't think ... that it would be real." His smile was bitter. "That's the thing about my world, Natalie. The monsters aren't hiding under the bed. They're sitting in boardrooms and sending threatening texts." She reached over, taking his hand. "So what do we do?" "We..." He looked at their joined hands. "There is no we. Not anymore. Tomorrow, I'm putting you on paid leave. You'll go somewhere safe until this is over." "No, Natalie, no," she said again, more firmly. "You don't get to kiss me like that, and then ship me off like I'm some fragile thing that needs protecting. I'm in this now, whether you like it or not." Dominic stared at her, something like wonder crossing his face. "You're insane, probably," she smiled despite everything. "But I'm also the only person in your life who doesn't want something from you, except maybe more kisses." He laughed, the sound raw and genuine. "You're going to be the death of me, Natalie Brooks, your salvation." She squeezed his hand. "Let me help, Dominic. Let me be here for you." He was quiet for a long moment, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. Promise me something. What? His amber eyes met hers, and she saw the depth of his fear for her, the weight of responsibility he carried. Promise me you'll stay safe. No matter what happens, no matter what you hear or see in the next few days, promise me you'll be careful. The intensity in his voice made her chest ache. I promise. He lifted her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. I'll hold you to that. As Natalie walked into her building, the security guard taking position outside, she looked back to see Dominic still watching from his car. The streetlight cast shadows across his face, making him look older, wearier. She'd fallen for a man with enemies in the shadows and secrets in every corner. A man who could destroy her with a word or save her with a touch. And Thursday was coming. Bringing whatever threat those board members had planned, Natalie locked her door and leaned against it, her heart racing. She'd promised to stay safe, but she hadn't promised to stay away. Wednesday morning arrived with rain hammering against Natalie's windows. She'd barely slept, her mind replaying everything she'd overheard. The data transfer. Thursday. The encryption codes. Her phone buzzed with a text from Dominic. Stay home today, please. She stared at the message, torn between the promise she'd made and the certainty that he needed her. Before she could respond, another text came through. I can't focus if I'm worried about you. That decided it. Natalie texted back. Okay, be careful. But staying home didn't mean staying inactive. She spent the morning researching everything she could find about Sterling Industries board members. The two men she'd heard in the conference room were Theodore Blackwood and James Hartley. Both with decades of experience in tech and finance, both with spotless reputations, which made what they were planning even more dangerous. Around noon, her doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw Patricia Reeves holding a manila envelope. Ms. Brooks? Patricia's normally composed face looked strained. I need to speak with you. It's urgent. Natalie opened the door, ushering her inside. What's wrong? Patricia handed her the envelope. Mr. Sterling doesn't know I'm here, but I've been with him for 15 years, and I've never seen him like this. He's going to do something reckless tomorrow. What do you mean? The board meeting. He's planning to confront Blackwood and Hartley directly to force their hand, but they're expecting it. They've set a trap. Natalie's hand shook as she opened the envelope. Inside were documents, emails, financial transfers, all pointing to a conspiracy that went deeper than she'd imagined. Blackwood and Hartley weren't just trying to steal encryption codes. They were framing Dominic for espionage, building a case that would destroy him completely. Why are you showing me this? Natalie asked. Patricia met her eyes. Because he listens to you. I've seen the way he looks at you. Ms. Brooks, you're the only person who can stop him from walking into their trap. The decision. Natalie read through the documents 3 times, her heart sinking with each page. The conspiracy was brilliant in its cruelty, every piece designed to make Dominic look guilty, while the real criminals walked away clean. She picked up her phone and set it down again. Dominic had asked her to stay away, to stay safe. But how could she when he was walking into disaster? Her phone rang. Dominic. Hey, she answered, trying to keep her voice casual. I miss you. His voice was rough, tired. Is that pathetic? No. Her throat tightened. It's honest. Tomorrow's the board meeting. After that, this should all be over. One way or another. The resignation in his tone terrified her. Dominic, what are you planning? Nothing you need to worry about. She could hear him moving, papers rustling. I just wanted to hear your voice. In case, ... double quotes, in case what? He was quiet for a moment. In case I don't get the chance later. Natalie's decision crystallized in that instant. Where are you right now? My office? Why? I'm coming there. Natalie, no. We agreed? You agreed, she corrected. I promised to be careful, not to abandon you. There's a difference. It's too dangerous. So is what you're planning. She was already grabbing her jacket, Patricia watching with approval. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Don't do anything stupid before I arrive. She hung up before he could argue, her hands steadier now that she'd made her choice. Patricia smiled slightly. He's lucky to have you. It's lucky to have both of us. Natalie gestured to the documents. Can you make copies of these? We're going to need evidence. The revelation the Sterling Industries building was quiet at 7 p.m., most employees gone for the day. The security guard Dominic had assigned to her a stern man named Vincent. Accompanied her up to the 45th floor. Dominic was pacing his office when she walked in, phone pressed to his ear. He looked exhausted, his shirt wrinkled, tie discarded somewhere. When he saw her, relief and frustration warred across his face. I'll call you back, he said into the phone, then hung up. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you, probably. Natalie set her bag down. But here we are. He moved toward her, and she saw the dark circles under his eyes, the tension in every line of his body. I can't do this, Natalie. I can't worry about you and handle everything else. Then stop trying to handle everything alone. She pulled out Patricia's envelope. Your assistant came to see me. She's worried you're going to do something reckless tomorrow. Patricia worries too much. Does she? Natalie spread the documents across his desk. Because from what I'm seeing here, she's right to worry. They're not just trying to steal from you, Dominic. They're trying to destroy you. He stared at the papers, his expression hardening as he recognized what he was looking at. Where did she get these? Does it matter? What matters is that tomorrow's board meeting is a setup. They have evidence planted, witnesses paid off, everything they need to make you look guilty of corporate espionage. Dominic sank into his chair, the weight of it all visible on his face. I know, you know. Natalie's voice rose. You know it's a trap, and you're walking into it anyway. What choice do I have? He looked up at her, and the defeat in his eyes broke her heart. If I don't confront them, they'll keep coming. They'll hurt people to get to me. They've already threatened you. Your solution is to let them win. My solution is to keep you safe. He stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. Don't you understand? They'll hurt you to hurt me. They'll use you as leverage, as a weapon. Every minute you're near me puts you in more danger. Natalie walked around the desk to stand in front of him. Then I guess I'll be in danger. Because I'm not leaving. The truth. Dominic stared at her, and something seemed to break inside him. Why would you risk everything for someone you barely know? Because I see you. Her voice was soft but certain. Not the billionaire or the CEO or the target. I see the man who stood on a balcony and told me his truth. The man who's trying to protect everyone around him, even when it's killing him. That's who I'm fighting for. He reached for her then, his hands cupping her face with desperate gentleness. I don't deserve you. Probably not. She smiled, despite the tears stinging her eyes. But you're stuck with me anyway. When he kissed her this time, it was different. Not the controlled passion from before, but something raw and honest. A kiss that tasted like trust and terror and hope, all mixed together. When they finally pulled apart, Natalie rested her head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Tell me everything. No more secrets. So he did. Sitting together in his office as night fell over the city, Dominic told her the whole story. About the encryption software his company had developed, technology that could revolutionize data security. About the competitors who wanted it, the governments who feared it, the criminals who would kill for it. Blackwood and Hartley are just puppets, he explained. Someone bigger is pulling their strings, someone with enough money and influence to orchestrate all of this. I've been trying to find out who for months, and tomorrow, I was going to force them to reveal their employer. Make them so desperate to save themselves that they'd give up the real mastermind by sacrificing yourself. Natalie shook her head. There has to be another way. Dominic's smile was sad. I'm open to suggestions. They spent the next 3 hours going through Patricia's documents, building a timeline, identifying weaknesses in Blackwood and Hartley's plan. Slowly, an idea began to form. What if we use their trap against them? Natalie suggested. They're expecting you to come in angry and confrontational. What if you played along instead? Made them think their plan was working while we gathered evidence. That's insanely risky. More risky than your original plan of basically giving up? He laughed, despite himself. Fair point. The confrontation Thursday morning arrived too quickly. Natalie sat in the conference room adjacent to where the board meeting would take place. Patricia beside her and Vincent at the door. Hidden cameras Patricia had arranged would capture everything. Through the glass partition, she watched Dominic enter the boardroom. He looked every inch the powerful CEO, but she could see the tension in his shoulders, the controlled fury in his movements. Theodore Blackwood and James Hartley were already there, along with the other board members. The trap was set. "Gentlemen," Dominic began, taking his seat at the head of the table, "I believe we have some things to discuss. Indeed we do." Blackwood's smile was predatory. "We've received some disturbing information about your handling of company assets, Dominic. Specifically, unauthorized transfers of proprietary technology." Natalie's hands clenched as she watched Dominic's face remain impassive. This was it, the moment they'd try to destroy him. "Interesting," Dominic said calmly. "I'd love to see your evidence." Hartley slid a folder across the table. "Bank transfers to offshore accounts. Encrypted emails to foreign contacts, all traced back to your personal devices." For a moment, Dominic said nothing. Natalie held her breath, trusting him to follow their plan. Then he smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. "Excellent work," he said, and Blackwood and Hartley exchanged confused glances. "Really? The detail is impressive. Must have taken months to set up." "I don't know what you're implying," Blackwood started, but Dominic cut him off. "I'm implying that you're both idiots." He stood, pressing a button on the conference table. The screen on the wall lit up, showing Patricia's documents. Emails between Blackwood and Hartley, financial records proving their conspiracy. "While you were busy framing me," Dominic continued, his voice like ice, "I was busy proving your guilt. Every conversation, every transfer, every lie. I have it all." The color drained from Hartley's face. "This is impossible. It's impossible as thinking you could outsmart me in my own company." Dominic leaned forward, his hands flat on the table. "So here's what's going to happen. You're going to tell me who hired you. You're going to give me every piece of information you have about them. And if you cooperate, maybe, just maybe, I'll let the authorities go easy on you." "We'll never." Blackwood started, but the door burst open. FBI agents flooded into the room, badges raised. "Theodore Blackwood, James Hartley, you're under arrest for corporate espionage, wire fraud, and conspiracy." Natalie watched as they were handcuffed. Blackwood's face twisted with rage, Hartley looking like he might faint. But it was what Blackwood said as they led him past Dominic that made her blood run cold. "You think this is over? You have no idea who you're dealing with. They'll come for you, Sterling. And they'll come for her." The promise hours later, after the FBI had finished their interviews and the other board members had filed out in shock, Natalie found Dominic standing by his office windows. He didn't turn when she entered. "It's not over, is it?" she asked quietly. "No." His reflection in the glass looked haunted. Blackwood was right. Whoever hired them is still out there. Still a threat. Natalie walked up beside him, taking his hand. "Then we'll face them together." "Natalie, don't." She turned him to face her. "Don't tell me to leave. Don't tell me it's too dangerous. I made my choice when I walked into that gala, and I'm making it again now. I'm staying." Dominic pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her like he was afraid she might disappear. "I could have lost you today, but you didn't." She looked up at him. "We won, Dominic. Maybe not completely, but we won this battle. And we'll win the next one, too." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise. When he pulled back, there was something new in his eyes. Hope. "Promise me you'll stay safe," he whispered, echoing his words from days before. "Only if you promise the same. Deal?" As the sun set over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber, they stood together by the windows. Two people who'd found each other in the chaos, who'd chosen each other despite the danger. The threat wasn't gone. Somewhere out there, someone was still plotting, still dangerous. But for now, in this moment, they had each other. And sometimes, that was enough to face whatever darkness came next. Natalie rested her head on Dominic's shoulder. feeling his heartbeat steady beneath her cheek. What happens now? He pressed a kiss to her hair. Now we build something worth protecting. Together. The word hung in the air between them, a promise and a choice. Together they would face the unknown. Together they would fight the shadows. Together they would prove that even in a world of corporate greed and deadly threats, love could be the strongest weapon of all. Outside, the city lights flickered to life, each one a small star in their own urban galaxy. And somewhere in the darkness, their enemies watched and waited. But Natalie and Dominic were watching too. And this time, they were ready.